From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Yes, indeed. Here we are on a Thursday, August the 17th, 2017. I'm Keith Allen, and the show is For the People. And if you are new to our broadcast, it used to be hosted by none other than the Chuck Harder, who is in retirement. And we're keeping the flame going, but there's no replacing Chuck. Somebody was on Facebook the other day saying, you know what, we miss Chuck, and I miss Chuck. But if Chuck could be on the air today, you better believe he would be on the air. But, man, that man clocked probably 40 good years on the air, definitely put his time in and served America very, very well. And if you'd like to wish Chuck well, you can always do that. He's at Signature Healthcare. It's a nursing home in Gainesville, Florida, and you can drop him a postcard. And we're going to be presenting an iPad Pro to him real soon here. We're waiting on a check, and then we'll order it, and then we'll schedule time to go and Facebook Live this whole deal. But this will bring some light into his life. He said he'll start writing, even do a newsletter for our folks that subscribe to us monthly. So that'll be a little incentive for you to become a subscriber. And if you'd like to do that, you can always do that online at our homepage. It's forthepeopleshow.com. If you've never visited For the People's website, that's it, forthepeopleshow.com. Let's get into it. An extraordinary set of tweets this morning. Nothing new for Donald Trump. Loves to tweet, and we do tweet as well at Talk to Keith Allen. But Donald Trump is definitely very upset about all of this culture of our great country being ripped apart. Shortly after 10 a.m., Trump said, it's sad to see the history and culture, once again, of our great country being ripped apart with the removal of our beautiful statues and monuments. He says you can't change history, but you can learn from it. He says Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, who's next? Washington, Jefferson? So foolish, he continues. Also, the beauty that is being taken out of our cities, towns, and parks will be greatly missed and never able to be comparably replaced. Well, yeah, they built stuff with love back then. Not to say that there's not people that do, but man, when they built things yesteryear, I mean, that's why this stuff stuck around. These tweets are offending still some people because what the news media is saying that Trump flip-flopped his positions, and I really don't think it's a flip-flop of positions at all. This is what the news is saying, that he's flip-flopped on his positions. He basically just was a little bit more specific to name the groups because his critics wanted him to do so, and there were several groups out there, and he named them. The neo-Nazis, the KKK. I mean, who else was out there? The alt-right was out there. The alt-left was out there, which that offended a lot of people. Oh, don't talk about the alt-left. Folks, I'm here to tell you, you listen to the show because you want my opinion, okay? There's a million talk shows out there that you could be listening to at any given moment. So if you don't mind, since I have the microphone, if I could just say, the alt-left seems to be opinionated as much as the alt-right. But if you talk about the alt-right, the alt-left gets bent out of shape and then calls you all of those things that those people stood for out there in Charlottesville. Quite frankly, and I'm just being honest here, if the KKK, if neo-Nazis, okay, white supremacists, oh, that's the other group, If they offend you, okay, why in the world would you put yourself in a situation that would exacerbate the situation and make things worse for those people there? I mean, seriously. It's like you're looking for a fight. I mean, if you don't subscribe to the thinking or the ideology of the Ku Klux Klan or the Nazis, the white supremacists, etc., the alt-right, whatever, I'm not going to attend a meeting, a function. I'm not going to give money. I'm not going to entertain. I'm not going to be there. That's not my thing. I'm going to stay away. I mean, you just showing up is not going to change, not going to persuade these people from thinking the way that they think. They've already made up their minds. That's why they are there. Now, yes, and I will say this, yes, you can go out and protest. Those that are out there, you can do that. But again, the insanity is, it's people that are looking for an excuse to go out, and because you don't agree with them, you're going to want to attack them. And then better yet, you're wanting to take down a statue. I mean, don't people have, again, better things to do with their time? Just for the life of me, I don't understand. Life is so short. Somebody once told me, and there was a time in, my 20s and such that I actually talked more than I listened. And this one young lady said, she says, you know what, you may want to save some of that hot air because someday you might need it. And she had a really good point. There's things that matter. Racism, yes, standing against that's a good thing. There should be no place for that. But again, there is a time, and then there is a space, and there is a place in America for these particular functions. Again, if you don't stand for the beliefs of a certain religion, you're not going to go to that church and sit down in the pew and listen to them, same as you would not go to a speaker like David Duke and listen to his speech. I mean, you will get bent out of shape, obviously, if you don't believe as what they believe. If you're a Jew and I say, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man come to the Father but through me. That means that Jesus was the Savior, and you're an idiot to believe otherwise. Okay? You're going to probably be pretty upset about that and bent out of shape if that's what you hear and that's what you get. If you're a Jew attending a Protestant service, my goodness, I mean, you already know this. So why attend it if you don't believe it? It's just, again, common sense thinking here, some common sense thoughts here. Somebody else that I think makes a lot of sense, Mike Huckabee, former Arkansas governor, and, of course, he ran for president. This is what he had to say on all of this hoopla over the statues. Mike Huckabee, ladies and gentlemen.
The monuments are a point of helping us to understand our history. Some of it isn't that pretty and that pleasant. Some of it we need to look back and say, boy, that was a hideous time in our world and in our country. But just to say we're going to tear down everything that offends us, we're going to disassociate with anyone whose life had some very unholy, ungodly, evil, sinful things. Where does it stop? I mean, Al Sharpton is calling for the destruction of the Jefferson Memorial in Washington. You have a pastor in Chicago asking that, Washington Park have that statue there removed because of George Washington owning slaves. Where does it stop? And look, I'm okay with the fact that if we want to go through the process of having public meetings and city officials saying, we're going to take the statues down, but what we can't do is have anarchists go and just tear down the statues because they're impatient with politicians doing it. That's not acceptable behavior. It's vandalism, it's anarchy, and it would be like me saying, I don't like abortion clinics, so I'm going to just go tear them down because I find them offensive. Nobody would justify that, including me. That's what I feel like we're coming to. It's not a matter of reinterpreting our history. We're bordering on anarchy, having a select group of people tear something down because it offends them personally.
And that is a lot of the people in this country on the left. That's something, with these safe spaces, these safe places that they have to have. Anything and everything that offends them, we need to do away with them. I mean, something doesn't offend you and there's an eyesore in your community that you don't particularly like a lot of homesteads, a lot of places in the country where people have the flag. You don't want the flag? Well, it's going to come down. Don't like the menorah? It's coming down. Don't like the Santa? It's coming down. Anything and everything that offends is got to go. There's a lot of things that offend me, and I don't particularly like on a day in and day out. And I got to tell you, I bit my tongue a million times when Barack Hussein Obama was in the White House from his policies. It had nothing to do with race. Though I did think, speaking of race, since I had to bring it up, is that Barack Obama had a massive opportunity to be able to unite the races. I thought he'd do that, but he did not do that. The racial divide in this country is terrible. In some ways, it's come a long way. Others, not so much. Not so much. There's a lot of good people in our country, I should say, that get up every single day and don't trip on all of these things that are in the news and that we're talking about. I think this is a way for the left, because they really have no message, to be able to go after Donald Trump and to anybody that supported him. Again, this is an assault on their values, and it's just one more thing to stoke the fires. And Barack Obama did great about it. He did a great job doing that, exacerbating, upsetting people, being provocative, and this is provocative. Because if you don't want the statue down, then it must mean that you really liked everything there had to be about the Civil War days, the old South, picking cotton, and all that stuff that happened, yeah. There were some good things that did happen in the Civil War days. It wasn't all bad, and it wasn't all about slavery. Read your history. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, if you're in school, disregard that. Don't read the history books. Actually, Bill O'Reilly wrote a lot of history books on the war, on our history, on our founding fathers, and you should pick up some of his books. But there was history books when I was a kid, and talked about a lot of this. Listen, guess who's undaunted about all of this? And I visited this as a kid because I went to school in New Jersey as a kid, in New York as well. But Gettysburg in Pennsylvania, great place to visit. The Gettysburg National Park. And they're unveiling the future of its Confederate status. A spokeswoman for Gettysburg National Military Park in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, said that it will keep its Confederate monuments after a white supremacist terror attack in Charlottesville, Virginia. Karen Blair. Despite the decision made by many cities and states across the country to remove Confederate monuments in the wake of last weekend's white supremacist terror attacks in Charlottesville, Virginia, one national park said it will not remove any Civil War memorials. Hanover Evening Sun in Hanover, Pennsylvania. That's the paper that this came out of, Hanover Evening Sun. Pennsylvania, home to Gettysburg National Military Park, reported Tuesday that the Civil War Battlefield Memorial plans to keep all of its more than 1,325 monuments, markers, and plaques in place, including those dedicated to the Confederacy. Folks, here's a park that is full of history, and they have reenactments. It's unbelievable. But you learn the struggle. You learn the fight.